Hi, everyone. We are waiting on Mavis to join us from Flow Functional Wellness. And our topic today, which is why I'm like pausing and drinking and stuff because I just sat down. Our topic is holiday stress management, which applies to all year long, right? But doesn't it seem to get worse? Or is worse, like the stakes are higher at the holidays, especially for females, especially for females who are caregivers or moms. Okay, I think Mavis is getting ready to... We'll wait on her to get here. So yeah, I think the stress is worse if you are a caregiver. Hello, lovely.
Hey, how you doing?
I am telling like everybody like what's really going on, like the stress holiday thing. And
Yeah.
so y'all, the backstory was I'm texting Mavis like what, an hour, 2 hours, maybe something ago.
It all
Sick kids, can't, like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there at 11:45. Can't do it. And so we're like going back and forth. Well, I actually get out of the doctor's office with my middle one, which wasn't on the schedule, which means, you know, when you got a sick kid or a sick family member or a sick pet, I don't know, whatever, you know, that you have to take care of, what you're going to do is now not happening. But if you're a
yeah.
caregiver, right, at all, then like if
Mhm.
it was a patient that you had to see or something that you have to do, it just doesn't vanish. Those tasks have to still be done. And then you have to figure out, when am I going to do that? And then their stress level goes higher. So that's what we wanted to talk to you about today.
Yes, that reminds me something I've been practicing the last few months when I'm like, you know how you get those incessant thoughts of like, there's never enough
Yeah.
time? Yeah, that can really cripple you, right? So like here recently, the past few months, every time I get that feeling or that idea of like there is never enough time in the day or the world to get these things done, I just flip it and I tell myself, and this is a positive affirmation. You can call it what you want, but I tell myself there is adequate enough time in the day for me to do everything that I need to do. And I just keep repeating that to myself, and then I feel so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. So there, that's like the CBT side, like, you know, the cognitive behavioral therapy, or what we call like a
Mm-hmm.
cognitive restructuring, where you take that thing, which
Mm-hmm.
is so good that you have that practice and do that, and then you get your mindset shift, because we're really talking about going
Right.
from that fixed mindset to the growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then there's there, there's the like cognitive bias that we feel like, I am stressed and I am productive. You know? So like two
Yeah. Yeah.
truths that you can hold in both hands, you know, one truth in one hand, one
Yeah.
truth in the other, and they kind of feel like they're biased against one another, but they can both be true.
They can exist at the same time. And then that also helps your body not feel so physiologically stressed or not feel like it's in danger or in fight or flight because it's like, okay, we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I reflect back to, I mean, I don't have to reflect back far because I was just in like one of those modes where I could have chosen fight, flight, freeze, or fawn,
Mhm.
right? I could
Mhm.
have chose to basically, you know, to use slang, freak out, right? Instead of
Mhm.
staying
Yeah.
grounded. But I
Mhm.
reflect back to this morning, and to other times where the stress levels have ever been even higher. Like I was in the middle of a car accident in Scotland, which was supposed to be my
Mhm.
vacation. And then less than 2 hours later, I blew a tire and was stranded for 8 hours. Like
Oh my gosh.
it's not even funny now, even though I'm laughing, like, you know. But I reflect back to those moments where like, okay, the stakes are high. I am not getting out of this. This isn't, you know, easy.
Right.
Or when people lose jobs, they lose marriages, they lose people they love. I mean, that all that gets packed in to the holiday magic, right?
Oh yeah.
Of how we're supposed to be all happy and the house is all decorated and stuff. And so I just want to like acknowledge that for everybody, that it's not gonna be perfect. Not, you
Mm-mm.
know, it's, and it doesn't have to be, it can be messy. For example,
Yeah.
I'm not, it's the 17th of December. I have never been this late doing this before, but the ladder is still parked in front of the Christmas tree. Like, you know,
Oh, that's
and the box
great.
of ornaments is there. And so it's like, I can use your cognitive, you know, the cognitive restructuring of what you do. Like,
Yeah.
there's plenty of time to still do that. Or I can say, you know, the tree is up and it's look like not, you know, decorated. Okay, fine. You know, like that's fine. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. At least I got the tree up.
Exactly. See, I love that. That's yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And like meals and planning and things like that. I think that I feel a unique, like without spilling all of everything in my life that's going on, and everybody's like text, I'm like, my phone's, everybody's texting me at once, I'm getting all these text bombs. um is that just in like full disclosure, I think I feel more stress this holiday season than I ever have in my entire life. Isn't that
Oh, no.
fantastic? um but
Oh,
I'm also telling
oh, yeah.
myself that I'm going to be fine, you know, not toxic
Yeah.
positivity, because we don't want to go there, you know.
It's different.
Yeah,
It's different.
yeah.
And this reminds me, I totally forgot about this, but when I was an undergrad, I did a undergraduate research study on stress and perceived stress. And
Mm,
so I think and like you were saying, positive, positive toxicity or whatever the word you said, it's different because there's there's stress and then there's that subjective perception of what that feels like. And so when I did this study, it's so funny, I totally forgot I did this until you started talking and now I remembered it. But when I did this study, it showed that the women that I studied, their physical health outcomes were worsened if their perceived stress was higher. When in fact, everybody has everybody has stress, everybody has different stress. But if your perceived stress is higher and you don't think you're managing it well, your disease outcomes will be more
yeah.
severe.
And all cause mortality is higher in those populations as well. Kelly Gonigal is an amazing writer. She has a couple books out. And I'm sorry, Kelly, for not being able to cite your books and the studies. But anyway, she did a TED talk on that,
Mm-hmm.
of your stress level really being, yes, it's a subjective experience, but when other people come in, like I have shared things like, you know, with my therapist or whatever, and when you share something with a friend and they go, whoa, really, like you got through that. And if you go back and you say, well, I didn't think that it was any big deal. I thought other people suffered through the same thing. I look at people who suffered more and I
Mm-hmm.
figured that it wasn't that stressful. You know, we don't want to be toxically positive, like, you know, positive affirmation our way out of stress. I wish that we could,
Yeah.
but you know, then it would be, stress wouldn't be such a huge, massive topic that almost every person at some point in their life feels overwhelmed.
Right.
But here we are, you know. I do
Right.
like the way that Brene Brown looks at, I think that John Kabat-Zinn defined overwhelm as a place where you feel like your nervous system is no longer capable of handling
Mm.
what it's being given.
I love his stuff.
Yeah, and that's like, then you can separate overwhelm from stress, because if you tell someone you're stressed, they might automatically jump to conclusions. Oh, she's just overwhelmed. She just can't handle it. Actually, no, you might have the capability and the toolbox to be able to handle it and say, yeah, like I just said, my stress level is probably higher than it's ever been in my life.
Right.
But I can also say I have a lot of tools in the toolbox
Yes.
to handle that. And I don't feel overwhelmed because I feel like my nervous system is handling that, you know, amount of input. So it puts you back in charge of being able to define how you feel about your stress.
100%. Amen. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
So,
so true.
and then you have to give yourself some grace also,
Mhm.
being gentle with yourself and realizing that the way your stress manifests may not be the way someone else's stress manifests. So
Oh, yeah.
hormones, maybe for you, it's, for everyone, we can expect the cortisol the cortisol curve to look a little skewed, right? For other people, it might be musculoskeletal pains. Maybe it's the headache or the jaw pain, or I'm a person that doesn't really tend to hold stress in those areas. It's other places, right? Or
Yeah.
the hormone piece of the puzzle, you know? So I,
Yeah. And
I
that,
think,
yeah.
yeah, I think one of the ways that we can manage our stress better is, where does it go? Where do you feel it somatically in your body when you're stressed? If you know that, you're already like ahead of the pack, you know?
Right, exactly. When I first started learning all of this in my health journey, and I remember someone asked me that one time, and I was like, "What do you mean, where do I feel it?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I had no connection with my body whatsoever. I was completely, separated from it. And so just, yeah, like you said, learning how to drop into your body and just listen and observe. Don't judge, just listen and observe and figure out where it is. So speaking of you do pelvic health. I hold a lot of mine there. I have a lot of there, my
Yes.
neck, my shoulders, my stomach. Like, I will totally lose my appetite. I could not eat for
I'm one of those.
days.
And then other people
Yeah,
go the opposite direction and they're comfort eating, right?
right.
Neither one is healthy because, you and I will both tend to just like shed the weight and then other people put it on. And I think that we tend to shame ourselves over how we manage that stress and shame one another, fat shaming, thin
Yeah,
shaming, body shaming, gender, like all the shaming stuff. Um,
all the things.
so if you've not picked up a John Kabat-Zinn book, if you've not picked
Oh,
up a Brene Brown book, we didn't start this and go, let's promote some books today, but you could say, well,
yeah,
look at Brene Brown's work, on shame and vulnerability and what constitutes courage. Um, and
yeah, I love it.
look at I mean, we could drop in right now and just say, all right, collectively, everybody, take a breath. And as you inhale, can you at all feel it stretch the belly out? It technically should also stretch the pelvic floor when you inhale. And that's a very granular feeling to feel.
Mhm.
So when,
Uh,
if you can't feel that, it may be hard to know you're holding all the collective stress because you're not anatomically feeling even where the breathing is going.
right.
So that
Yeah.
that could be one way you just stop and go, where is this manifesting? Am I getting acid
Mhm.
reflux? Is my pelvic floor tightening? Do the calves get all congested? Is constipation a thing?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
there's so
Shortness of
many.
breath.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because the air can't move.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Or you feel like you also want to just crawl up in a ball and cry, which also may be a good choice. Right?
Sometimes it
Crying is
is.
cathartic.
Yep.
Listening to sad
Mhm.
music is not a bad thing. In fact, the research on sadness and sad music shows that a couple of things. One, if we're trying to suppress sad thoughts or
Mhm.
what other people who want to be toxically positive will just label as negative thoughts, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's really, you should attach it to an emotion. It's sadness, it's despair, it's a feeling of hopelessness. That when we
Right.
try to push those things back, they subconsciously push themselves forward in our dreams.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. For
that
sure.
when people try to, if you take it a step further, those who suffer from addictions, when they try to suppress those thoughts about they actually get worse. Like the addiction part of that gets worse. It's better to ride the wave out of those thoughts, like carry them all the way out to the end. Visualize what you need to do with it. Is
Mhm.
it watching it like a cloud floating through the sky,
Mhm.
or watching it like traffic going by? I don't know what it is, birds, a flock of geese, whatever works for you, to follow the pattern of feelings, the
Right.
thoughts all the way through until maybe they just dissipate into a color or something. There's so many different ways that we could look at it.
Yeah, no, I love that because, for me personally and for many people, the first thing we want to do is suppress. Like we don't even want to feel those
Yeah.
uncomfortable emotions. But everything has a purpose. Every emotion, every energetic being, like whatever we're processing, going through, it has a purpose, and we have to process that. But for most of my life, I was like, no, that's uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. I want to suppress. I want to suppress.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of the healing and learning how to manage stress came from learning it's safe to feel this way and it's
Yeah.
okay to feel this way.
Yes. Yeah. Safety. It really all comes down to that. I
Yeah.
mean, we can get really super geeky about polyvagal theory and stress management theories and all the strategies, dialectical behavioral, cognitive behavior. I mean,
Yeah.
acceptance and commitment therapy. There's all these different methods that we could use that, you know, are important to learn. But at the end of the day, we have to be aware of what's going on first and then decide how does it feel best to me, in tackling that stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so if you do find that hormone levels feel skewed, maybe those vasomotor symptoms, perimenopause or whatever, are coming back and are worse. Maybe your labs even look fine. Then we have to look to that stress management piece, which
Hmm.
after we've done the labs and we've measured the hormones and we have reached an equilibrium point and you're doing the exercise that you should do and you're eating well, and you're trying to get best sleep, all that's like lifestyle medicine stuff, right? After
Hmm.
we've done all that, then we fall back on, well, how am I managing that stress? Because nearly every condition that you have has a stress component.
Yep, 100%. And I just want to hone in again on the safety point, right? Because even just like the vital sign of a menstrual period can be thrown off if we're not feeling safe. And when I'm saying safe, I don't necessarily just mean physical safety, but
Yeah.
by all means, that's part of it too. It's not just physical safety. It's also like the rat race of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
That chronic stimulation,
Mm-hmm.
that's not safe to the body. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's a chronically stimulated, stressed, sympathetic tone body. So I don't mean just physical, that's not what we're talking about, just physical stress, but of course that's perfect too. And then also hormones, not only can stress throw off your hormones, but also hormone imbalance can throw off your stress resilience,
Yeah.
right? Because hormones help you be more resilient and tolerant of stress and how to manage and handle stress. So it's just
There's,
like it's just so intricately connected.
yeah. I mean, progesterone having a big role in mood regulation and estrogen
Mhm.
receptors being everywhere in the brain. We just think of them being like a reproductive organ thing, and it's totally not. Estrogen receptors are everywhere. That it becomes paramount, I think, and to come full circle to our conversation of what I was talking about with high stress levels, and Mavis talking about where you hold stress. It comes full circle back to that original conversation of if the holidays, which can be stressful for everyone, are uniquely stressful for you this year. I totally feel that deep in my soul with you. It is super stressful, but it is the time to come back to treating yourself really gently, having self compassion. We cannot and are not going to get everything right. As women, as caregivers, no matter if you're in healthcare or not, we tend to default to, because we're socially taught to nurture and take care of everyone else. And
Mhm.
it seems so easy to say, oh, just put your own oxygen mask on first. Right. Like you're going to fill your own stocking on Christmas Day before your kids, right? Like that's a literal way of taking it. It just doesn't
Yeah.
work that way. Like I had a doctor's appointment, I had to cancel that to take my kid because I got to take care of my kid, right?
Yeah.
So when the rubber meets the road, we can't just simply put our own oxygen mask on first. But
Right.
before my feet even hit the floor, when I get out of bed in the morning, knowing that that's what's coming, I try to set myself up with a kind of an attitude of resilience. Like I will be resilient today. I can be
Mhm.
resilient today. I know I hold stress in area A, B, and C. And so let's just say it was your gut, for example. That means you need to tell yourself, okay, maybe I start my day with an herbal tea that's calming for the gut. Whatever that is, it's different for different people, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
or a really nurturing high protein breakfast, whatever that may be. These are the kind of things that we're going to be talking about in the 12-week perimenopause program anyway. Um,
Mhm.
but just to give you some granular like advice now, like before you get out of bed, the stress is here. We know it. What are the
Right.
top three ways you manifest stress? And then what are the top, just one thing in each of those ways that you can practice self-compassion to manage that stress without shaming yourself and just saying you're crappy at managing stress. That's probably not true.
Yeah.
You have a lot more skills than you think you do to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you talk about starting your day with resilience. Like, never really thought about it that way, but I know if there's like a few things that I don't get to do in the morning, my whole day's thrown off. It's like how you start your day and those little things that you do to become aware of yourself, to prepare yourself for the day. It is so important, not just for you, but everybody around
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So my non-negotiables, here's another moment of transparency. And I know we got to go because we could talk about this forever, but
Yeah.
my non-negotiables particularly in 2024, as we move into 2025, and we will be doing these lives in 2025. So please join us in January for that. Um, but my non-negotiables have been to ask for help with a, a task that's fluid, which means it has to be done. So it's not fluid in that way, but it's fluid in who completes it. Instead of as a mom thinking, I must do this task, right? I have to do it. I'm the mom. I have to do it. I stepped back to now and I said, wait, that's fluid. I can actually get a friend to help me with that. It is transparent to my kids. They don't care if I do that task or not. That frees me up and gives me 30 whole minutes to go exercise. Otherwise,
Right.
it wasn't happening. In little snippets and snatches here and there, it wasn't consistent. I wasn't meeting the goals I wanted to meet. So that's been my 2024 non-negotiable, which
Yeah.
took, in full transparency, until August to actually like just figure all the parts and pieces out. So if you're struggling with like complex layered stress management, we're going to be going over this stuff. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's what's that quote? Progress over
Yeah.
perfection. I remind myself of that all the time. Um, and can you hear me?
Yep.
Someone's trying to call through. Yeah, I know we have to go, but real quick, I just want to plug this in because you were talking about like food prep earlier, and like I think you were alluding to like how overwhelming that can